Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:06. Good morning. Start your day with a smile on your face is the only way to do it. Just come on, just smile. Even if you're not feeling it, just see. Don't you feel better? Smile. People are going to think I'm talking to you, Julie. I'm not actually. Gunlock is here, though. Is it Gunlock?
Stop.
Julie Gunlock is here at 6:35. Maryland Delegate Kathy Shalega on her bill in the Maryland legislature right now, promoting fairness in girls' sports, which right now, just so we get everyone up to speed, on January 30th, 2024, fairness in girls' sports means not allowing men to compete against them. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yes, that's it.
That.
Pretty simple.
And by the way, it's being termed controversial.
Always.
In local media.
Yeah.
7:05, Hillel Muir. Now, he is the executive director of UN Watch. He has been just an absolute champion on focusing on the corruption at the UN. He's testifying later today on Capitol Hill. You'll get a preview of it this morning, and we should just let Hillel know that we will be talking to him for quite some time. There's going to be a couple of segments there. At 7:35, our pal Riley Gaines has a new children's book. Well, of course she does. When are we writing our children's book? I can't wait to hear that from Riley. And also, by the way, quite a bit in the news about women's sports. We'll talk to Riley about that. And then 8:05, Jenny Terr covers the border for the Daily Caller News Foundation. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Julie Gunlock. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
Yeah, I made a point today to say that I want to start the show with a smile on my face. Because very rarely, I get fired up about things, but I try to stay upbeat and positive and happy. Always.
Yes.
I was so angry yesterday. I found myself in the middle of the day just spitting mad.
Really?
And it's a good thing I didn't have to be on the air because it would have been bad radio. I think it's bad radio when the host is just angry all the time. It's just stop. Anybody can do that, okay? But the combination of this whole E. Jean Carroll story, which we're going to get to in a second, and what an abomination of judicial madness it is, and the fact that it was all started by George Conway, that odious,
the worst husband in America,
worst father in America, worst human being in America.
And it was also Bill Kristol,
and of
proud
course,
Democrat,
elevated by the left. So that's right. And then seeing Karine Jean-Pierre and her pathetic response on behalf of the White House, on behalf of our government. And we always talk about how she's Biden's spokesperson. She's the spokesperson for all of us.
Right.
She has an international stage. And here is a moment where we finally get somebody speaking in front of a camera about these 3 members of the military who were killed as a result of the incompetence of this administration and feckless nature of their national security policy. And she can't even put 3 words together.
And injuries as well, like 30 injuries.
Yes.
3 dead.
Devastating injuries.
This is a tragic incident. And you're right. She can't even.
She's so and then as she's fumbling her, and you'll hear that a little later, as she's fumbling her words, she then says, these 3 brave people who served for our fighting and fought for our administration. Yeah.
The nerve, the absolute nerve of that statement.
So we're going to talk about that too, because it's a perfect example of how the left is so disconnected from ordinary Americans. Every single one of us has somebody who is either serving, or we know someone who's been serving, or a family member is serving, and we've had to deal with either injuries or even a death at some point over the last 20 years since September 11th. And it's something that we all feel, we all immediately relate to, and we can speak up to it. We can talk about it. She can't.
She can't.
They are so removed from the reality of what it is to be an American and live through something like this.
What is wrong with you? I mean, honestly, I showed this.
You mean Karine Jean-Pierre? Because there's all. We only have 4 hours if you want to get into what's wrong with me.
I look at this woman. I go, "What is wrong with you?" I showed that to my son, and yesterday I showed that clip of her speaking.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Mom, doesn't she have the word communication in her title?" Which I died because this is not he's a young kid.
It is literally her job. She has one job. The old meme. You have one job. She has one job. Communicate a message on behalf of the American people and the government that is currently occupying the White House. Here she is.
What I will say, our deepest condolences go out, and our heartfelt condolences go out to the families who lost three brave three folks who are military folks, who are brave, who are always fighting, who are fighting on behalf and of this administration, of the American people. Obviously, more importantly.
So you can understand why I was just spitting mad.
Oh, I know. I was too.
Spitting mad.
Yeah.
And maybe things are heightened now because I have a child who wears the uniform.
Yeah.
Who, I think every time I see a story like this, I immediately relate it back to not just my child, but all of the children that I have seen.
You take care of a lot of the kids on.
Yeah, I mean,
campus.
basically, my new adopted son, Adrian, is now a Marine Corps officer. He's got infantry as his service assignment. Infantry, whenever they say boots on the ground, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
And these three individuals, the Army Reserve soldiers who were murdered by these terrorists, they deserve better, and their families deserve better. And not for nothing, and I only raise it because the left would raise this in an instant. All three were African American.
Yep.
And forgive me, their lives matter.
Yeah.
Their lives matter. And this is the kind of disrespect and despicable kind of backhanded, offhanded incompetence.
Afterthought.
Yeah. Oh, by the way. And I want you to play. It's only 24 seconds. Listen to it again because you can tell that they said, okay, what are we going to say? Let's get the words together. And she tried to memorize what the official statement was because, usually she's reading from a binder.
Right.
But this is a TV appearance, so she has to actually do it all. So she goes back. She says, I
was supposed to say brave.
Right, exactly. I was supposed to say heartfelt. Heartfelt.
Serving,
Listen.
right?
What I will say, our deepest condolences go out, and our heartfelt condolences go.
See, our deepest condolences. Oh, no, wait. We said
heartfelt.
Heartfelt
but I got
condolences.
in there.
Okay,
Good,
deepest,
good.
heartfelt.
Right.
Okay.
Out to the families who lost three folks who are military folks, who are brave.
Yeah, don't forget the brave part.
Brave, and they're military.
Brave. You got to make sure you say brave.
I mean,
folks.
What is folks?
Folks, military folks.
Who are always fighting, who are fighting on behalf and of this administration.
Fighting on behalf of this administration. Yeah, I'm going to put the uniform on. I'm going to swear an oath. I'm going to relinquish a certain number of my constitutional rights. People forget that part. When people get sworn into the military, they're acknowledging and allowing their own constitutional rights to be suspended on behalf of the chain of command.
Yes.
You think you have freedom of speech when you're in the military? No, you do not have freedom of speech when you're in the military. There's a lot of freedoms you give up. And I'm sorry, forgive me, Ms. Ceiling breaking historic communications guru at the White House, but they did not sign up and wear the uniform and put themselves in harm's way and die on behalf of the Biden administration. What an insult to their commitment.
Curtis Hoke, our friend, he's over at
Media Research Center,
Newsbusters. Newsbusters. Yeah. He had this great tweet. He said, and I think it's important because this isn't a one-off. This wasn't a bad day. She wasn't emotional. She wasn't stressing, right?
This is a
he
daily
says,
occurrence.
folks, this is what she's like during every single White House press briefing. She frequently gets tenses wrong, makes things plural or singular when they shouldn't be, and uses wrong words. It's impressive how bad she is.
Yeah. And then later in the day, the E. Jean Carroll thing on MSNBC. So this is how my afternoon went. How my early. So we're going to get to E. Jean Carroll in a second. You'll hear that in a moment. But you know what? I'm happy. I'm going to be in a good mood. I'm not going to go back to my dark place yesterday.
That is the fakest
I'm
look
not
on
going to
your
be
face.
angry. But you know what? It's like Meredith saw how mad I was, and I'm filling in for the great one tonight.
Good.
If you want to stay up and listen to the Mark Levin Show, everybody, you should, because I'll be the host of the Mark Levin Show tonight.
And the anger is perfect.
Meredith was like, save this for Levin.
Yes, exactly.
This is perfect for the
Levin energy.
It's 5:15. Now WMAL traffic and
WMAL, making sense of the economy because it's your money and your retirement. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
It's 5:17 now. It's O'Connor and Company with Larry and Julie. And yeah, so here's Rachel Maddow. She's the serious journalist over there at MSNBC.
That's right. Yep.
Asking E. Jean Carroll the most important question. I am dumb. I shouldn't be dumbstruck. I'm absolutely astounded by how the left in the media, after this E. Jean Carroll sentence, all they do is obsess about the money.
Oh, yeah.
They hate the fact that Trump is wealthy.
Yes.
They really, I'm on it. They resent it because they don't have, and again, I'm talking about the people in the media and the people who are on camera. I'm not talking about your great Aunt Susan who always votes Democrat because she loved John Kennedy, okay? But the Democrats of a certain profile, the panel on The View, the Joy Reids of the world, they don't have a real moral, ethical, principled basis in their life. They don't have a moral code. So it's all about, you judge somebody based on their wealth.
Absolutely.
Based on their wealth and based on their profile and what they've been able to achieve. And it confounds them that Donald Trump has buildings with it. That's why they always say, oh, he's not really rich. He's not really rich. He's really,
That was what was so funny about the tax records getting released. And there was nothing in them,
Oh, we have an update on that, by the way, the guy who released the tax records. We'll get it. But anyway, so they're obsessing about this money. The cast of The View yesterday, when they
dancing.
They came out dancing to this
that song.
Money, 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 Money,
Yeah.
which was the theme song to The Apprentice.
Yeah, I think Alyssa was the most energized by that.
Alyssa, the woman who actually
Worked
got rich,
for him.
got rich because of her affiliation with Trump.
Yes, that one.
Anytime that you want to yell back at the television, or even if you bump into Alyssa Farah at a social event here in Washington, D.C., which I am wont to do now and again, and if you get frustrated, you can just smile, keep a smile on your face, and just say, just remember, Alyssa, if it weren't for Donald Trump, you would be no one.
Yes.
The only reason she has any profile or any wealth is because of Donald Trump.
That's right.
Anyway, here's Rachel Maddow asking E. Jean Carroll what she's going to do with Trump's money. I love that, too. You get to take Trump's money from him. That's how they view this.
Yes, exactly.
You've talked about using some of Trump's money you're about to get to help shore up women's rights. Do you know what that might be, what that might look like?
Yes.
Here is Rachel Maddow doing whatever she can to elevate this.
To legitimize.
Yes. This tawdry, from the face of it, anybody who looks at this story knows that E. Jean Carroll is a nutbag.
A total lunatic.
And frankly, her story is suspect.
Who called rape sexy, by the way. I want to just remind everyone. She was like, rape can be sexy.
And let's be clear, this $83 million payout has nothing to do with the sexual assault, actually. This is a payout for defamation.
Right.
Because Donald Trump defended himself. But of course he did what Donald Trump does, which is then attack the accuser. He attacked the accuser, which is understandable because if somebody's falsely accusing you of something.
I'd be kind of angry if someone was accusing me of a crime.
So the money is not because she's the victim of sexual assault.
Right.
Supposedly she's the victim of defamation.
Right.
So now here's Rachel Maddow doing whatever she can to elevate this to this higher plane of you're going to do things to help women and women's rights.
This is the Christine Blasey Ford revenge that they've all been waiting for, right?
So here's her quote. Please tell me you're going to do something for some cause that I can
to
at
further
least
women's rights.
Yes, so
and
I can
totally
embrace
blows
this.
it. She totally
Rachel.
Yes. Tell me.
I had such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, you and I are going to go shopping.
See, now I'm in a better mood. And Rachel Maddow is like, oh, holy crap.
Cut her
Seriously,
off.
right?
Go to commercial. We know that. Cut her mic.
Not only is it so beautiful because it's selfish, right? We're going to take the money, we're going to go shopping. But secondly, it plays into a stereotype about women. You give them money, they're just going to go shopping.
Yeah, exactly. I wish you could see the look. She's sitting there. It's E.J. Carroll sitting next to her rather homely lawyer. And the look on this woman's face was just she immediately loses her smile because she's sitting there smiling.
Well, and the lawyer had to jump in and save her. So in a moment, you'll hear that and the rest of this great moment in television history. Oh, seriously, Edward R. Murrow Awards for everybody. It's 5:22.
Making sense of your world.
There are a lot of things that really tick me off.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Rachel Maddow asks E. Jean Carroll about all the good she's going to do to advance women's rights and women's causes in America now that she's got $83 million of Trump's money, as Rachel Maddow said it. And here was the...
You want France? You want to go fishing in France? No? Oh, all right.
She's nuts.
She's nuts.
She's absolutely nuts.
Such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, You and I are going to go shopping. We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, motorcycle for Crowley, new fishing rod for Robbie. Rachel, what do you want? Penthouse? It's yours, Rachel.
Now, remember, this is 83.3, I love the .3,
Yeah.
$million for a woman who supposedly lost income from being a columnist. I don't know how they came up with that number.
Who knows? Well, here's how they came up with a number. They got a New York City, Manhattan jury pool.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's Donald Trump.
Doesn't matter.
And they figured it out.
Could do something for women's rights, I would take the hit. You know, I would obviously take one for the team. All right, let me as if you need persuasion in that regard. Let me finish with a final question.
Wait.
It's all just a joke.
Yeah, it is. Did you hear the lawyer, though, jump in there awkwardly?
Yeah. That's a joke.
And she was dead serious.
It's a joke. That she's
Everybody
just kidding
calm down.
about the shopping and the shoes. No, she's not. No, she's not kidding at all. So that's why I ended my day in a bad mood yesterday.
I don't blame you.
Between all
It's
of
all
these
very
things,
sickening.
because it makes me very angry. But you know what? This is all part of the fight that we're in. It's why we raised our hand and decided to join this crazy world. And we got to keep focusing on it. We got to keep talking about it. We've got a long haul before the election, but we're going to get there. And things only change when you can convince people that they need to be a part of that change. That's
right.
what we do here.
That's right.
Julie, and we're going to make that change, and we're going to make things better. We need to see how bad these people are to convince people that it's time to change. So I hope you got that. Coming up, another illustration of how bad things are. Joe Biden's foreign policy in shambles. We'll talk about it next.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Lorenzo. And I'm sorry.
I understand that more than I understand when Biden talks, by
Right,
the way.
when Karine
and I don't speak
appeared.
Spanish.
Well, it's okay. He doesn't speak English.
True.
I'm just practicing our show in Spanish just in case. Just in case we get 4 more years. Just saying. Gotta prepare. Hello. It's O'Connor and Company. It's 5:37. Coming up at 6:35, Maryland Delegate Kathy Shalega trying to protect women's sports in Maryland. 7:05, Hillel Neuer. He is the Executive Director of UN Watch, and he'll be testifying today about the UN. 7:35, our pal Riley Gaines. And then at 8:05, Jenny Terr, Daily Caller on the border. I don't think she's literally on the border, but she'll be talking.
She has
the
been,
topic will be on the border.
Got it.
On the borderline.
I'm
Larry
interesting.
O'Connor.
She's got a great new story.
Okay, we're gonna reveal it right here. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie,
You are in a mood.
I am in a mood. They put me in this mood. I'll be fine. Did I mention I'm filling in for Mark Levin tonight? All right. So yesterday we told you about the United Nations, UNRWA, right? And that's what we're going to talk to Hillel, like I said, coming up at 7:05. Hillel Neuer, 7:05, to talk about it. He's an international lawyer. He's been blowing the whistle on the corruption at the UN for years now, right? It's finally reaching a head where we found out that multiple staff members from UNRWA participated in the terror attacks in Gaza. Participated. Actually, were killing people. Were there, right? Giving aid and assistance, right? Then America, along with a dozen Western nations, have suspended their funding. They put a pause on their funding. UNRWA itself, by the way, blew the whistle on itself. You know how bad it got, that they actually admitted this and said, yeah, we have a problem here. We're trying to get on hold of it. We're trying to blah, blah, blah. So you think this is pretty cut and dry. This is like there's no way American money should be going to this thing. We should disband it, but at the very least, suspend our money until everything is, leave it to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to step up and defend the UN terror group.
Murderers,
You know, and I kid you not, she is cutting off support of UNRWA, she said on X. By the way, I thought she was quitting X because Elon Musk is a misogynist racist.
She just likes to flirt with him.
The primary source of humanitarian aid to 2 million Gazans is unacceptable. Among an organization of 13,000 UN aid workers risking the starvation of millions over grave allegations of 12 is indefensible. it's just
few bad apples.
Few bad apples.
Remember when there were a few bad apples on the police force in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
And as a result, she wanted to fund all police forces?
Yes.
It's weird how it doesn't go both ways.
Intelligence reveals details of the UN agency staff's links to the October 7th attack, according to Wall Street Journal report. By the way, this is also reported in the Times. It's across the board. 10% of Palestinian aid agencies' 12,000 staff in Gaza have links to militants. That would
That's
be
not
terrorists. No, 10% of 12,000, last time I checked, is 1,200. 1,200 members of this group. By the way,
I just want to, these few bad apples, 1,200 people that were in some way, are some way compromised. And some actually participated in the October 7th, which raped women, murdered people, burnt people alive, beheaded babies. I mean,
the worst of the worst. And continue, by the way, this needs to be.
This is an accounting fraud, okay?
Then this is also not something that has happened, months ago, as if that's not bad enough. It's going on right now. They still hold American hostages, Israeli hostages. They are still raping them. They are still terrorizing every minute that goes by. I love that people talk about this and, well, we've got to move on from October 7th. October 7th is still happening today as we speak. Furthermore, the idea that this UN agency whose job is supposedly to give humanitarian aid to 2 million, do you realize how long we've been giving humanitarian aid to the Palestinian territories?
Decades.
There are young adults right now, young adult men who participated in these terror attacks who have lived and been subsidized their entire lives.
Their grandparents were subsidized. It's not just their entire lives, their parents' entire lives, and their grandparents'
Well, it's because Israel came in and stole the territory. Read a book, for God's sake. In 1948, part of the partition that the UN agreed to, it was the UN, by the way, that did the partition, included territory for Palestinian people. In 1940, when the State of Israel was formed and approved and voted on through the UN, there was territory for the Palestinians. And then they immediately took up arms and tried to kill as many Jews as they could because they wanted more land.
Let's not forget the UN gave the Jews this land after the Holocaust.
Well, true, but I just want to, and I know a reasonable thing to say, but the UN did not give the land to the Jewish people there. It was their land.
Yes.
The UN recognized it. That's all the UN did.
You're right.
But it's an important distinction.
It is important in these
because if the UN gives them the land, then the UN could take it away.
Yes, I get it. You're absolutely right.
Moving on, though.
I appreciate it.
Moving on with UNRWA, though. This group, this terror group that AOC, if I had told you, hey, AOC is going to defend a terror group, she would never do that. Of course she is. That's exactly.
Yeah, we would never say that.
Nobody would say she would never do
on
that.
Type. Yes.
Do you know who Maher Bitar is? Of course you don't. I mean, not you, Julie. I know you know, but you on the 495, you on the Beltway. Why did I say the 495? That's like an LA thing. What's wrong with me? Everything's fine. Maher Bitar. He is Joe Biden's senior director for intelligence at the White House National Security Council. This is the person who the Biden administration chose to put in charge of all intel for the National Security Council. What was his job before that? He worked for UNRWA.
Wow.
He worked for UNRWA, the group that has now been suspended for providing material support and intelligence to Hamas. And this is a guy currently in charge of intel for the National Security Council. Like I said, Hillel Niar has been exposing this stuff. He's going to join us at 7:05 to break this down. A little bit more here, by the way, about how we've been paying the Iranians to kill Americans and Jews. Joe Biden yesterday promised that we will respond to Iran for the murder of 3 of our service members, 3 soldiers in the Middle East. And, of course, always good. And by the way, there were news alerts that, as of midnight last night, or midnight this morning, I guess more accurately, Joe Biden, the president, was prepared to retaliate. It's like, it's always good to let your enemies know exactly, roundabout when the missiles will be coming to respond to them. So that's in tatters, of course. But that's fine because, he's basically giving his friends over in Iran a heads up so they can, secure all of the money that he's been giving them for years and years and years. Listen to this is Jake Sullivan about 2 weeks before the terror attacks in Israel on October 7th. This was about 2 weeks before, September of 2023. You're going to hear Jake Sullivan. You've heard this comment before, but it's striking juxtaposed to what Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, said yesterday. Here, listen to it back to back.
The war in Yemen is in its 19th month of truce. For now, the Iranian attacks against U.S. forces have stopped. Our presence in Iraq is stable. I emphasize for now because all of that can change. And the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
I would argue that we have not seen a situation as dangerous as the one we're facing now across the region since at least 1973.
All right. So, again, the first person that you heard there was Jake Sullivan, September of last year, 4 months ago.
The war in Yemen is in its 19th month of truce. For now, the Iranian attacks against U.S. forces have stopped. Our presence in Iraq is stable. I emphasize for now because all of that can change. And the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
Anthony Blinken yesterday.
I would argue that we have not seen a situation as dangerous as the one we're facing now across the region since at least 1973.
Now, let me just prepare you for the explanation from the Biden administration. In September, the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades. And then yesterday, the Secretary of State, just 4 months later, saying that we haven't seen a situation as dangerous as this since 1973. That would be 4 decades, almost 5 decades ago. The reason? Donald Trump. This is going to be Trump's fault. Somehow this will be Trump's fault.
Yes. They will manage. That's all they have.
And George Stephanopoulos will put his glasses on, because sometimes he has to put those glasses on to look really earnest. And he'll say, yes, yes. Jake Tapper will stand up. He'll have his glasses on as well. And he'll say, yeah, this is very disconcerting, and it's why we need people like Anthony Blinken, who is currently on the cover of Time magazine as America's most important diplomat on the world stage. This is why we need people like this in charge of our foreign policy. I'm sorry, what's happened in the last 4 months? What is different from Jake Sullivan pronouncing in China, by the way? He was in China when he said that. I like that the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades, which, by the way, was true. Because of the Abraham Accords, because of the efforts of the Trump administration, this is what they inherited. They inherited a peaceful Middle East.
Yeah, and it would help if when the Biden administration came into office, they didn't employ people like Mehar Bitar, who's was an official with UNRWA and is now Biden's senior director for intelligence program. It gives him access to all of our, and not to mention, I think in September it was revealed that 3 Iranians were sort of working for a think tank that had ties to the Biden administration.
They were specifically, they were part of an information operation out of Tehran, and then suddenly they're working for the. One of them is still a chief person at the Pentagon.
Also, in the fall, there was a senior CIA official named Amy McFadden who was caught posting images of solidarity with Hamas.
Yeah,
a senior CIA official. I mean, the call is coming from inside the house, folks.
That's all right. Well, Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday was asked about what Joe Biden's plans are to speak with the families of the 3 soldiers who were just killed because of his feckless policies.
Has the president called already, or does he plan to speak with the families of the fallen service members?
Don't have any calls to read out. Obviously, and as Kirby started off this briefing, obviously the president and the first lady sent out their deepest condolences and heartfelt thoughts to the families.
She's had hours to get her act together on this, and she still can't get the words together. But they send them out, but there's no specific information about whether he will pick up the phone and actually call.
That's right.
The parents of these 3 brave individuals. By the way, Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, 46 years old. Specialist Kennedy Layden Sanders, 24 years old, and Specialist Brianna Alexandra Moffat, 23 years old. They're not 3 folks.
Yeah,
they're 3 individuals, 3 human beings, 3 peoples whose lives matter. And it would be nice if the president picked up the phone and talked to them, talked to their parents. It's 5:50.